If you would like our free newsletters on various religious topics, just send us an email at cdebater@aol.com, and free newsletters will be sent to you by mail. Just provide your postal address in your email. The following are samples of some of the newsletters we have available. Does God Believe in Atheists? Part 1. Seventh-day Adventism, True or False? The Agony of Deceit. The Origins of Muhammad's Religion. Spiritual Warfare. Are psychic mediums communicating with ghosts or demonic spirits? Testimony to the Eternal Godhead, the Trinity. From Tradition to Truth, a Priest's Story. An evaluation of the Oneness Pentecostal movement. Mormonism, Counterfeit Christianity. Turn or Burn. Jehovah's Witnesses, Deceived Deceivers. Links to these newsletters can also be found at our website, www.biblequery.org. Once on the homepage, simply click on the menu icon at the upper left-hand corner. Then click on the Newsletters button. Feel free to print them out. 1 Peter 3:15 says, "But sanctify the Lord God in your hearts, and always be ready to give a defense to everyone who asks you a reason for the hope that is in you, with meekness and fear."
When it comes to demonic powers, the Bible says in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 9 through 12, "Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned, who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness." We're going to tell a little ghost story here. And by the way, we do have a newsletter on this type of thing. This newsletter by our ministry is called "Are Psychic Mediums Communicating with Ghosts and Demonic Spirits?" And of course, there's a lot of information in here. What is interesting is on page 7 of this newsletter, I actually visited one of those so-called haunted houses over there in Louisiana one time. But anyway, get the newsletter to get more information from this. I'll have a lot of good Bible information about these types of things. As the cut line to our photo in our newsletter states, Christian Answers Director Larry Wessels with Bill Jamard, mayor of Ville Platte, Louisiana, on the porch of a supposedly famous haunted house in Lafayette, Louisiana. Larry had come to attend the graduation of his niece and was invited to see a haunted house. The skeptical Wessels saw a black cat, but no ghosts, and concluded that haunted house designations are useful legends for the locals to attract curious tourists. Now, looking on the back side of the newsletter, I actually have some full pictures here of the so-called haunted house. And the cut line here, photo of a famous haunted house in Lafayette, Louisiana. The story goes, as told by the internet and elsewhere, that in this particular house roams a ghost named Amelie, wearing a rose-colored dress. She is said to turn the lights on and off, rattle pots in the pantry, and sometimes set off the burglar alarm. And below that is another view of this alleged Louisiana haunted house. Now, reading some of the material written by Ron Rhodes in our newsletter, page 7 of our newsletter, Dead Humans Are Not Ghosts. Another reason we know that genuine encounters with spirits involve demons and not dead humans is this. The Bible indicates that dead humans are not even available for earth visits as ghosts. At death, the believer's spirit departs from the physical body and immediately goes into the presence of the Lord in heaven. That's found in Philippians chapter 1, verses 21 through 23. This is why when Stephen was being put to death by stoning, he prayed, quote, Lord Jesus, receive my spirit, end quote. Acts chapter 7, verse 59. At the moment of death, the spirit returns to God who gave it. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7. In 2 Corinthians 5:8, we learn that Christians who are away from the body are, quote, at home with the Lord, end quote. The Greek word pros, used for with in the phrase at home with the Lord, this word suggests very close face-to-face fellowship. It is a word used of intimate relationships. The verse thereby indicates that the fellowship we will have with Christ immediately following physical death will be very intimate. Don't miss this point. Christians who have died are not still on earth, but are with the Lord in heaven, where they remain in intimate, perpetual fellowship with Him. For unbelievers, death holds grim prospects. At death, the unbeliever's spirit does not go to heaven, but is involuntarily confined to a place of great suffering. Luke chapter 16, verses 19 through 31. 2 Peter 2:9 tells us that the Lord knows how, quote, to hold the unrighteous for the day of judgment while continuing their punishment, end quote. The unrighteous are not still on earth, nor do they have access to earth. Whatever people are encountering at alleged haunted houses and hotels is most certainly not the spirits of dead people walking around. As I have shown, the biblical evidence suggests that if a person is encountering any spirit entity at all, for example, through occult practices, it is a demonic spirit. Now, one last thing I'll read here from this newsletter is from page 5 by Ron Rhodes, and he states here, the truth about ghosts and hauntings. Many today are convinced by the evidence for ghostly phenomenon. That is, they believe dead human beings make appearances among us. Many books provide evidence for these appearances. However, we need to remember something that Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, besides Jesus, of course, 1 Kings 3:12, chapter 4, verse 29 through 32, chapter 5, verse 12, chapter 10, verse 23, said on one occasion, quote, the first to present his case seems right till another comes forward and questions him, end quote, Proverbs 18:17. While we're on the subject of our occult playlist, I'd like to point out to our viewers our number one video on that playlist is called Haunted Houses, Poltergeist, Carl Jung, Witchcraft, Magic Spells, Demon Possession, the Occult. I wanted to play a quick clip of that particular video. It's just packed with all types of information about the world of the occult from a biblical perspective. In this particular clip, I'm going to give my own experience of a haunted house situation that took place back when I was a boy, along with my brother, and my dad was also involved. Okay, so Dad and Mom go off to go dancing, have a little date, and leave us behind. And so we're down in Grandpa's old office downstairs on one side of the house there, and we got that old TV set down there, black and white I think it was, or something like that, and we're just killing time watching an old movie, Zulu, where those British soldiers being attacked by all. And it's a big time war movie. There's a lot of action and yelling and screaming and shooting and a
a lot of noise like that. And so we're watching this old movie down there, and all of a sudden, while that's going on, despite all the noise coming from the war movie, I thought I heard something that sounded like footsteps coming down the staircase. And in Grandpa's old room downstairs, there was a door that shut, and on the other side of the door, it led right to that staircase and to that storage thing that Dad was just talking about. And I could have sworn I heard footsteps coming down those things. So I go over there, and I don't think the door was shut at that point. And I said, I don't even know if I mentioned to you on that first time, but I go and said, I thought I heard some footsteps in the staircase. And so I walked over there and I looked out the door up the stairs. It was kind of dark up there, but I didn't see anything. And all of a sudden I didn't hear any noise anymore.
Right.
And I said, man, I could have sworn I heard footsteps coming down the stairs. That's kind of spooky, you know. So I shut the door. I shut the door, and we go back to watching the movie, right?
Right.
And I think the second time, that's when you might have heard something yourself, perhaps, or might have been the third time. I know I was hearing it all along.
I actually heard it quite often. And,
Okay.
So
Okay.
I remember constant footsteps, and it was coming down the stairs, and it was.
You could hear it coming down the stairs, just
was-
bump, bump, bump,
And it
like
was-
it's getting closer.
It was in sync. It was like a rhythm. It
Yeah.
wasn't just random pops or anything. It
Right.
was in rhythm, and and it sounded like footsteps
And so
coming
the-
down the stairs.
And then the second time, you know, this time I looked through because that door had a window on it, from Grandpa's office to the staircase. So this time I'm looking through the window up there, but when I got over the window and looked up, all of a sudden,
Nothing.
no sound, no anything.
Right.
And I remember going, look, we're both hearing this stuff, man. And then I got a chair in Grandpa's thing, and I put it underneath the doorknob. You know, so I put the chair there. This is a little freaky here. And I said, well, but it stopped, and I didn't see anything. So let's go back to watching the movie.
Yeah.
You know? And so we were watching that Zulu movie.
Just thought it was our imagination or something, you know.
Right,
What
right.
is this?
Right. And then what happens next?
Well, you hear it again, and here it comes, stomping down the stairs.
That's right.
And louder and louder and louder.
And, you know,
And it's like it's getting closer.
like it's it's like at the top of the staircase, and you can hear it getting closer and closer coming down the staircase.
Right.
I mean, it was that real, and we're both hearing it. And it was either the third or fourth time
Yeah, I don't remember.
we lost our courage.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Because every time I went to the window to check it out, it would stop.
Right.
And I wouldn't see anything, and I was too frightened by the third or fourth time to even open the door to look out, you know.
It was so loud that I expected somebody to come through that door.
That's right. I had that chair wedged under there, you know. I started to think about putting other furniture over there. Well, in Grandpa's room, he had a screen door that led out to the front yard. You know, his other door on the other side led out to the garage. So you got the garage here, the screen door leading straight out to the front yard, and then this door lit to the staircase. And it was that third or fourth time that we just freaked out.
That was it. We didn't know what it was. It's basically what I call a spook house.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was, but I had enough.
Yeah, so let's get out of here. So we went flying out that front screen door to the front yard, you know, with the tarantulas crawling around. You always had tarantulas. You know, you know, you can't have a spook house without tarantulas, you know, the lightning bugs and everything else. So anyway, we just go running as fast as we can. And that was a big lot, too. That house in the lot was huge. A lot of pecan trees. We used to supply the local grocers with pecans, those huge 100-year-old trees or whatever. Anyway, we're running up to the main road right there in front of that street. What was that street there? That was just
Summit Street, they call it.
Summit Street, and it led right into downtown Schulenburg. And the rail was the train rail was down ways. You used to hear the trains going by all the time. But anyway, we beelined it straight to downtown Schulenburg, down Summit Street. When we got far enough away from the house, we started just walking. It's like, okay, we're far enough from that house.
We're comfortable.
We're comfortable. Let's just walk into town. But by this time, it was probably around 11 at night or midnight. It was late. In a small town like that, Schulenburg, I expected to see somebody around in the downtown part of town. So did we ever see anybody? I don't remember seeing anybody.
Don't recall.
Yeah, we walked around. Everything was closed, and there's some street lights on and stuff. But it's like, man, there's just nobody around, nobody to talk to. We're just kind of wandering around in downtown Schulenburg. We finally go, well, I guess we ought to go back. We can't do it. There's nobody here, and we're just wandering around in the middle of the night. So let's just go back, and hopefully Dad and Mom will be back, and we can get our courage to go back in the house, right? So we did, and I guess we weren't back in the yard, standing outside the house that long before Dad and Mom come pulling up.
Right.
And now this takes us back to you, Dad. You see us out there in the yard.
Yeah, I wondered what in the world y'all doing out in the middle of the night in the yard, And that's when y'all told me about all this stuff. I said, well, that's not unusual.
It's not unusual.
I've always heard pops and stuff down.
Yeah, but you investigated when you were growing up there and all that stuff. But it'd always disappear when you would go check it out.
Mainly after my parents were gone, and I was coming out there by myself or something.
Unidentified flying objects, more commonly known as UFOs, have become a topic of interest and fascination not only in the United States but worldwide. Known reports reveal that UFOs are sighted around the world at the rate of 6 per hour. Nations everywhere are turning in UFO sightings, especially in the Soviet Union, or what was formerly the Soviet Union, despite the official newspapers' declaration that only drunkards see UFOs, end quote. The number of all UFO sightings from ancient history to 1954 was estimated to be 10,000. But since 1954, the number of sightings has reached into the millions. UFOs display characteristics based on thousands of cases that openly defy natural explanation. UFOs have the ability to perform unbelievable aerial maneuvers such as 90-degree turns at speeds of several thousand miles per hour. They can materialize or vanish instantly and can change shapes and sizes while in flight. Some have been clocked at speeds exceeding 16,000 miles per hour. Let me say at this point that I personally believe that UFOs are real. I believe there is a vast amount of evidence to support this belief, of which only a tiny portion can be presented here. The question then for me is not, are they real, but who are they and what is their purpose? To this question, I can only offer a possible answer.
Not only do UFOs and the occult use the same disciplines such as levitation, teleportation of objects, psychokinesis, clairvoyance, automatic writing, and telepathy, but their theologies are completely foreign to biblical Christianity. UFO theologies include everything from reincarnation and evolution to man achieving cosmic godhood. But they do not include Jesus Christ as the only mediator between God and man, 1 Timothy 2:5. In fact, numerous anti-Christian cults such as the Aetherius Society, the Urantia Group, the Solar Cross Foundation, the School of Thought, and others were begun by alleged UFO communications. UFO magazines are filled with occultic ads for witchcraft, Satanism, and astrology, along with cultic ads and philosophies by New Age groups.
Man is good and evil on this planet Earth and every planet that man reigns in the universe. This is why there has to be dominance on a planet of people. They just can't evolve out of the sea like wild weeds.
Okay, Irina, let's give Bill a chance. Bill?
Yeah, first. Thus spoke Irina, the space goddess. And this is a very popular subject on the circuit. This is something that we hear from quite a bit.
It seems like almost on a daily basis. You know, you can cut on to some talk show and they'll be talking about UFOs or abduction cases and so forth.
In fact, they've been dealing with this, I think, on some of the learning and discovery channels. Now, these are the channels that always come on and say that Christianity, they reduce it down to a man-made religion, lump it together with all the other primitive superstitious religions and say science has discovered this, and then they'll flip over and start getting into UFOs and so forth and so on, and almost giving credibility to what you see on the magazine, news magazines, the scandal magazines, and so forth like that. So are we really seeing, or at least thinking we're seeing, interspace or interstellar travelers?
I believe that there's two main schools within what we call ufology. There's the one system of school that says that these are nuts and bolts machines from a different world. And then there's the other school that seems to be smaller. It's much smaller in the United States. And that is the interdimensional school that say that UFOs are real, but they're from a different dimension. We don't know much about this dimension, but they could even be from a spiritual dimension. And I say, bingo, that's it. I think that all the evidence leads to that UFOs are really being seen. There's something like more than 15 million Americans that have seen a UFO. A good way of putting it is UFOs comes from the realm of shadows, so to speak. It comes from the realm of what poltergeists and ghosts and spiritual things like that. And I contend, and I developed this, and I think I've proven it conclusively in my book, that if you understand what demonology is, you know what UFOs are.
If you like our YouTube channel, please subscribe by clicking on the subscribe button and then by also clicking the bell above to get an automatic update whenever we produce another YouTube video for our See Answers TV channel. Please share our videos with your friends and relatives. May God bless you. Only one life will soon be passed. Only what is done for Christ will last. See related videos by tapping or clicking screens.